They said she was chosen by the gods. They said her voice carried the will of the spirits. But the night the river turned black and children began to vanish, the truth no one was ready to hear was this: the woman they worshipped was the one killing them. In the heart of a dense forest, where the trees whispered secrets even in silence, there lay a village called Aroko. Aroko was not like other villages. Here, the gods did not sleep. They watched, they listened, and when angered, they punished. Every child born into Aroko grew up knowing one thing: fear the gods or become their sacrifice. At the center of this fear stood one woman, Iyalade. She was not just a priestess, she was the voice of the gods themselves. When she spoke, elders bowed. When she walked, warriors lowered their eyes. When she entered the shrine, even the wind held its breath. Her beauty was as striking as her power: dark skin like polished ebony, eyes that seemed to see beyond the living, and a calmness that felt unnatural. But what the villagers loved most about her was her loyalty to the gods, or so they believed. His name was Ademola. He was not from Aroko. He came from a neighboring land, a place the villagers called unclean. Outsiders were not welcome. Outsiders were not trusted. And most importantly, outsiders were forbidden from entering the sacred forest. But Ademola did. He was a hunter, fearless, curious, reckless. The first time Iyalade saw him, he was standing at the edge of the sacred river, the very river said to be the resting place of the gods. She should have reported him. She should have cursed him. She should have had him killed. But instead, she watched him. And for the first time in her life, the priestess felt something she had never felt before: desire. Their meetings began in secret. At first, it was only glances, then words, then laughter, and before long, it became something far more dangerous: love. But this was not ordinary love. This was the kind of love that could burn down a village, the kind of love that could anger the gods. Because there was a law, older than the oldest elder. The priestess belongs to the gods. Her body is not her own. But Iyalade broke that law. Night after night, she left the shrine, sneaking through shadows to meet the man she was never meant to touch. And each time she returned, the sacred fire in the shrine burned a little darker. It started with the river. One morning, the villagers gathered as they always did, only to find something impossible. The clear, sacred river had turned black, not muddy, not dark from rain, black like death. Panic spread like wildfire. "This is a sign," the elders cried. "The gods are angry." Sacrifices were made, animals were slaughtered, prayers filled the air, and at the center of it all stood Iyalade, silent, watching, knowing. The first child vanished at dusk, a little girl, then another, then another. No footprints, no screams, no bodies, just gone. The village fell into terror. Mothers clutched their children, fathers sharpened their weapons, the elders demanded answers. And so they turned to the only person who could speak to the gods, Iyalade. She entered the shrine. Hours passed. Then she came out trembling. "The gods are angry," she said. "They demand purification." But what she did not say was the truth. Hidden beneath the sacred shrine was a secret no one knew. A dark chamber, a forbidden place, and in that place, something ancient had awakened. The night Iyalade gave herself to Ademola, something had changed. The gods she served were not the only ones listening. There was another presence, older, darker, hungrier, and it had found her. The voice came to her in the dark, not loud, not violent, soft, tempting. "You have broken your vow. Now you must pay." At first, she resisted. She was the priestess, chosen, powerful, untouchable. But the voice did not leave. It grew stronger. It demanded, and then it offered something in return. Give me what I ask, and I will let your lover live. That was the moment everything changed. The children were not taken by the gods. They were not cursed. They were not lost. They were offered. And the one offering them was the woman they trusted most, Iyalade. Ademola began to notice the change. The woman he loved was no longer the same. Her eyes grew darker, her voice colder, her touch distant. One night, he followed her. He watched as she entered the shrine. He waited, and then he heard it, a child's cry. What Ademola saw that night would destroy everything, because when he stepped into the hidden chamber, he saw her, standing over a child, whispering to the darkness and smiling. Ademola did not breathe. He could not. His body stood frozen at the entrance of the hidden chamber, but his soul was already breaking. Before him stood the woman he loved, the woman he risked everything for, the woman whose laughter once softened his hardened heart. Now, she stood in darkness, whispering to something that was not human. The child on the ground trembled, tied with sacred cords, eyes wide with terror. Iyalade, Ademola's voice cracked. She froze. Slowly, painfully slowly, she turned, and when their eyes met, there was no love in hers. Only silence, only guilt, only something else. You should not be here, she said. That was all. No explanation, no denial, no tears, just truth wrapped in coldness. Ademola staggered forward, shaking his head. No, he whispered. No, this is not you. This is not who you are. But deep inside, he already knew. Iyalade, tell me this is not real, he begged. Tell me you are not the one. The children were going to die anyway, she interrupted. Her voice was calm, too calm, and that was what broke him. What did you just say? He asked, his voice hollow. She stepped closer, her eyes finally flickering with emotion, pain, fear, and desperation. I did it for us. Those 4 words echoed like a curse. She told him everything about the voice, about the night everything changed, about the darkness beneath the shrine, and about the deal she made. They wanted a price, a life for a life. Ademola's chest tightened. And you chose children? He asked, barely able to speak. Tears filled her eyes now. She cried, You don't understand. If I didn't, it would have taken you. Silence fell between them, heavy, suffocating. So you became a monster to save me, he said slowly. She reached for him, but he stepped back, and in that moment, something inside her shattered too. The air suddenly grew cold, too cold. The flames in the chamber flickered wildly, then died. Darkness swallowed them whole. And then it spoke, a voice that did not belong to any living thing. You were not told to bring him. Ademola's blood turned to ice. From the shadows, it emerged, not fully seen, not fully formed, a shape that twisted the eyes, a presence that made the soul tremble, the ancient spirit, hungry, watching, waiting. Iyalade fell to her knees. My lord, forgive me, she whispered, but the thing did not care for apologies. You have grown attached, it said. Its voice slithered through the air. That was not part of our agreement. Ademola grabbed Iyalade's arm. We have to leave now. But she didn't move because she understood something he didn't. There was no leaving, not anymore. Take me instead, Iyalade suddenly said. Ademola froze. What are you doing? He shouted. She looked at him, really looked at him for the first time that night. And in that moment, the woman he loved came back, even if only for a second. I was never meant to love you, she whispered, but I did, and I would do it again. Tears fell freely now, but I cannot let it take you." She turned to the darkness. "Take me. End this." The chamber trembled. The spirit laughed, a low, horrifying sound. "No." The word echoed like thunder. "Love makes this far more interesting." A pause, then, "I will take both." Above ground, the village was in chaos. Another child had gone missing, but this time there were signs, footprints, blood, and whispers. The people began to question, to doubt, to fear, and for the first time, the name Iyalade was spoken, not with reverence, but with suspicion. Back in the chamber, the darkness closed in. Ademola held Iyalade tightly. "I am not dying here," he said, but she shook her head. "This is my fault." The spirit's presence grew stronger. The walls cracked, the ground split, the air screamed, and in that moment, Iyalade made a decision, one final choice. She grabbed a ritual blade. Before Ademola could stop her, she plunged it into her own chest. The chamber fell silent. The spirit shrieked, "No!" Darkness lashed out violently, but it was too late. Iyalade collapsed into Ademola's arms. Blood spilled onto the sacred ground, and something began to change. The darkness weakened, the air lifted, the presence faded, because the spirit had been bound not by the children, but by her power, her vow, her existence, and with her death, its hold on the world shattered. By morning, the river was clear again. The missing children stopped disappearing. The village was safe. But the truth came out, and it broke the people. The woman they worshipped had nearly destroyed them. Ademola never left. He buried her himself at the edge of the sacred river where they first met. Some say he spoke to her grave every night. Some say he never loved again. But everyone agreed on one thing: their love was real, even if it doomed them all. And to this day, in the village of Aroko, they tell a warning to every generation: fear not only the anger of the gods, but the desires of the human heart.